Welcome, Irish fans, to another special edition of the Jack Swarbrick Show. On this show, we will feature Notre Dame women's basketball coach Muffet McGraw, who this weekend will be enshrined and inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. But first, to get things started here on the 9th floor of Corbett Family Hall on the east side of Notre Dame Stadium are your hosts, Notre Dame Vice President and Director of Athletics Jack Swarbrick, and Notre Dame football offensive lineman, leader of Wapu Nation, and musician extraordinaire, Sam Bush.
Sam, welcome back. You're a brave man. You returned.
I had a couple second thoughts about it, but I figure my mom likes to see and hear me in anything I can do, so I figure I'd humor you.
Well, we're happy to have you back. Happy to be spotlighting another part of the renovated football stadium tonight. As the introduction indicated, we're in Corbett Family Hall on the 9th floor. Beautiful view of the stadium with a patio on this northwest corner. We did a couple of segments on this show to visit with Coach McGraw as she heads into a very special weekend with her induction into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And she and I braved the outdoor elements for our interview. You know, Sam's agent called, insisted that we be indoor.
We got the window cracked here, though, so, it's a little rawer than just being secluded up here in the nice press box, all that good stuff.
You got the elements. So you can get the view from up here. What was it like on the field on Saturday?
I mean, it was so awesome to see our team come out and play like that in the first game. We've been preaching 1 week at a time and drown out the noise and all that stuff. So to see our guys come out and just roll like they did, I mean, first game, our offensive line, we rushed for over 400 yards. That was such an unbelievable accomplishment. And that's, not taking anything away from the rest of the season, but to start it off on that note and being down on the field, being up close with those guys, seeing their reactions coming off the field, just the juice and the energy flowing on the sideline, it was awesome. Yeah,
the running game was rolling. Great performance by the offensive line, and we had 3 guys over 100 yards and a 4th back that looked really good too.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, we know guys like we obviously know Josh Adams is going to be a huge contributor. But, for Dexter to come out and just have the game that he did, Brandon obviously played tremendously, and then Tony Jones coming in and stepping up. It's an awesome testament to the versatility and the diversity of our football team that we're able to get so many guys in there to pound the rock and move the ball. It's awesome.
We had 2 young guys split time at the right tackle spot. Both seemed to acquit themselves well.
Yeah, they did pretty well. It's been kind of going on like that most of camp and the earlier weeks coming into school and with classes starting. But Tommy Kramer went in, did a great job. Obviously young player. He's got to learn the system, but he's going to be awesome. And Robert Hainsey is an early enrollee, true freshman. So for him to get in there, he was excited. He went in there, held his own, did a great job for us. It's awesome to see young guys like that step in and have success under such a big stage.
Now, other than the hits he took, was that the Brandon Wimbush you've been seeing in practice each day?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brandon is the type of guy who comes out every day locked in and ready to help his team get better. Even if he's not having, the best day in terms of his own standards, he's right there, being with all the guys, hey, come on, let's go, let's pick it up, or you guys are doing great. And he's really accepted his role as a leader on this team. So to see him go out and translate that to the field, it was awesome.
Now, in addition to it being the first game of the season, it's the first game in the renovated stadium, and you guys had practiced in it a couple of times, and you will always be the first team to have played in it, which is kind of cool. What are your impressions of the facility as a player?
I mean, what I love is, in these new side parts of the stadium, the side additions, they go straight up and they just close everything in and pack. All the sound is just coming straight down to the field. It feels like such a more vast expanse of a stadium. And then, you look up over at the south end of the stadium and you got that big, beautiful Jumbotron staring you down at the face. And I know the fans are happy because they can finally see replay.
Yeah.
And, they can finally yell at the refs with just cause. But it's good for us, too. If we're a little confused on what just happened on the play, we're able to glance up and see what's going on. But it really brought a whole new dynamic to the fan experience as well as the fan-player interaction because, it felt like our fans were in here. They were a little more engaged and just more hip to what was going on. So it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, one of the things that is maybe lost in the use of a video board like that is one of the things you do as the home team is talk to your coaches and say, what angles do you want to see? As we're producing the show. And so it's nice to be able to do that, to give you guys an angle that you might want to see to check out what the fits are or how something's working.
Oh, absolutely. And, we got our our little offensive line huddle every time we come off on the sideline. And if there's some confusion going on or anything, I heard a couple guys tell Coach Heastan, hey, Coach, look at the Jumbotron. That's what happened, whatever it may be. But it adds another dimension to our game that helps us in small ways but in really beneficial ways,
Good performance as well by the defense, a group you help make better all the time. They really seemed to gain momentum as the game went on.
It's awesome. And, coming out, we didn't really know what Temple's offense was going to do. They have a new offensive coordinator. So the defense was actually studying tape from Coastal Carolina most of the week because that's where their offensive coordinator had come from. So they came into it a little naive almost. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's the one I'm going to throw out there. But as the game went on, you saw them settle down, and they just became more comfortable. And you saw guys, Julian Love, a guy who's, worked his ass off all season, gets the first sack of the Notre Dame season. And that's just a testament to all those guys coming in every day and working hard and putting in the blood, sweat, and tears. So it was really great to see it pay off for them just as much as it paid off for the offense.
Now, after we did the show last week, I ran back into you later. You were giving your folks a tour of the facility.
Yeah, I was walking out, and my parents had gotten into town that evening. I propped open the door in the stadium. We'll keep that one on the hush-hush.
Yeah, we won't share that with anyone.
But I brought them in, and we walked through. I think we were down on this end, maybe on that end. No, we were definitely on,
end.
Yeah, we were definitely on that end. And they walked through the gate, and the minute they walked into the stadium, their eyes got the size of dinner plates because they were just blown away. Because this is obviously my 4th year here, and they saw kind of the bare bones of it last season, but to walk in and see the relatively finished product, at least for what most of the Notre Dame fans are going to see, they're not really going to be on the inner workings of the buildings. It was such a surreal experience for both my parents to be able to come in and see it in such a raw manner as it was. It was so cool. Yeah,
it was great to meet them, and I'm glad you gave them a little bit of a tour of it.
Yeah, they thought you were all right.
Well, you just have to overcome that. You're carrying the show, so that's the least you can do. So we go from a challenging opener against a team that had won 10 games in each of the past 2 years, won its conference title, to an even bigger game against a great SEC opponent. What can we expect from the Bulldogs?
Well, the words SEC or the letters SEC say it all. That's one of the premier conferences in college football. And a lot of people, when they think of college football, their mind automatically goes to the SEC. Georgia's a tough team. Obviously, they're a physical team. They're looking to come out and knock some heads around. But, I think we're going to do the same thing. I love the way that we've been coming out playing physical. It was Attitude Tuesday today. We came out and threw on the pads, hit off the rust a little bit, and I think we're going to be ready come Saturday night.
Yeah, it's sure to be a very physical, not likely to be a high finesse game, right?
No, not at all.
But you won in the trenches.
But that's how we love it as an offensive lineman. That's kind of what you hope for games like that. And it just started raining. I hope it rains on Saturday because that means ground and pound, put the ball on the ground, and see who's more of a man.
I don't think the weatherman's going to help you out with that one, given the long-range forecast, but we never know.
Hey, if you're listening, I'd love a little help, just a little bit.
Once you get into the season, what's the week of preparation like? What's the rhythm of the week?
So it starts off, we got a mental Monday. which is, breakdown of film. It's come known as, we changed it, and I can't think of what it is. Coach Kelly's going to kill me because I can't think of what trait Monday is associated with. We may have to edit this. But, it comes in, Monday's all about scouting report, watching film of the other team. We get a lift on Monday to get the week started off right, get our bodies going in motion. Tuesday's Attitude Tuesday, where we come out and it's all about having that attitude that nobody's going to push us around, especially when we're playing a home game. Nobody's coming into our house and pushing us around, and we've really tried to keep that close to our heart this season. Wednesday we come out, Gritty Wednesday, very similar to Tuesday, and it's all in the name. Gritty. It's about coming out even though you don't want to. You might be a little sore, a little bumped and bruised, but it's got to do it anyway, And Thursday is Attention to Detail Thursday, where we slow it down a little bit, but it's all about getting in the right fits and making sure you're in the right spot. So we know that when we come out on Saturday, hey, I've done this so many times throughout the week of practice that this should just be muscle memory. Friday's Focus Friday, which just do a little bit of a walkthrough, make sure that everything's good, all the bells and whistles are polished, and then successful Saturday, man. Come out and play the way we play.
Now, at the end of practice today, Coach rewarded the winning SWAT team with some rewards, some good stuff, as they say. And your name didn't come up on that list, and then he announced that the losing SWAT team would be cleaning the weight room at 7 a.m. You're not cleaning the weight room at 7 a.m., are you?
I am. Actually, so get to go in and spend even more time with Coach Bayless, which I love. It's my favorite thing in the world. But I got to go in 7 a.m. Going to take about 30 minutes, and we got to make sure everything's nice and polished. Excuse me, this wind is coming through and just blowing my flow all over the place. But
we don't want to screw up the look.
No, of course not. Yeah. But I got to get in there. But honestly, all that goes back to is just being accountable. Right. And we split up the whole team into these SWAT teams, as we call them, at the beginning of the semester, at the beginning of last spring. And they've changed around a little bit, but basically it's just keeping your guys accountable. And it's the little things that we do every day, making sure you're on time to class, making sure you're getting your assignments in. And if you don't do those things, you'll lose points. But, on the flip side, if, we're going to community service events, going to other sports teams, competitions, we gain points for that kind of stuff. So it's all about supporting Notre Dame and, being as much a part of this community as possible. So guys who are able to uphold that are rewarded, and guys who aren't are, obviously punished. So it's something that we're going to take with a grain of salt. Get in there tomorrow. I'm going to wake up and go in and do it, no complaints, and get on with my day.
Well, I love the way that's carried through the entire since January, and the way the culture has embraced that. And you saw it on the field on Saturday. I hope we see it again this Saturday, and thanks for joining me.
I appreciate it always.
All right. We'll be back in a minute.
Looking for game day premium hospitality at Notre Dame Stadium? Group opportunities are now available in semi-private boxes and the 7-on-9 Club. Season ticket members can enhance their game day experience with a membership to the South Club. Premium food and beverage offerings are just a few amenities that accompany these distinctive areas. For more information, visit und.com/VIP.
The excellence of Notre Dame women's basketball coach Muffet McGraw is well known, but becomes even more impressive with even a brief review of her list of accomplishments. Coach McGraw is the only male or female 3-time consensus National College Coach of the Year award winner. She is a 7-time Conference Coach of the Year winner and is one of just 6 college coaches, male or female, to win 800 games, appear in 7 Final Fours, and 5 national championship games. Coach McGraw has compiled 853 wins during her career, 765 of those wins coming at Notre Dame, where she led the Irish to the national title in 2001, and in the last 5 years has guided Notre Dame to both its conference regular season and postseason tournament titles, the only school in the nation to accomplish this feat. The list of Muffet accomplishments goes on, and we are grateful Coach McGraw has been able to carve out some time in her hectic schedule this week to appear on the Jack Swarbrick Show. Now, before I toss it back to Jack, for those of you not watching the video version of this show or listening to our opening segment, we decided to record this two-segment interview with Coach McGraw on a beautiful sunny day on the Northeast Terrace on the 9th floor of Corbett Family Hall on the east side of Notre Dame Stadium. The only issue, we did not expect the wind to be quite what it turned out to be. So with that little explanation, take it away, Mr. Swarbrick.
Welcome to a very special edition of the Jack Swarbrick Show. Let me begin by saying I may have taken the commitment I made last week to the audience to get us around the venue a bit too far. We did last week's show from down on the field. We are on the 9th floor patio in the Corbett Family Hall on the northeast side of the stadium, and we're simulating a wind tunnel at present. So it's a little windy up here, but it's the right location for today's guest, with a background that speaks to the university, the basilica and the dome in the background over our shoulder, because no one is more associated with this university than today's very special guest. Coach McGraw, welcome.
Thanks, Jack.
We are having you on a little earlier than normal this year because you're on your way to Springfield tomorrow for the induction ceremony into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, the ultimate honor that anyone can receive who has a career in basketball. Pretty exciting time for you.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of anxiety about the actual ceremony, but it's been so fun connecting with so many former players and so many people that are going to be celebrating with me.
How did you learn that you had been inducted?
Well, I got a call shortly after the NCAA tournament, so it was kind of a bittersweet moment. It was on the tail of being eliminated and then having something so spectacular happen. It was an amazing moment for Matt and I.
I'd like to spend a little time because while I think people largely know it, we've never discussed it on this show, sort of going all the way back and tracing your history with the game. What are your earliest moments of playing basketball?
Well, I started in 7th grade. I remember the priest came in and said we're going to start a team, and so I was the first one to raise my hand to get out on the court. And back then we had to play in skirts. We played 6-on-6, 3 people. Only 2 could cross half court, so I was one of those rovers, and it was an interesting experience. Not anything resembling the game we have today, but from there went to college, played at St. Joe's, and then on graduating as a sociology major with no prospects of a job, thought maybe coaching would be something I could do.
Now, when you raised your hand that day, was it because you had played a lot with the siblings, or you knew the game well? Yeah,
I played a lot with the guys. It was always me and 9 guys down at the playground, and my mom always trying to put bows in my hair, get me to carry a purse, and I was like, no, I'd rather be down here playing basketball. So that's where I got my start. Learned everything in the driveway, in the alley, and on the playground.
Wow. Well, other than the sociology degree, what attracted you to coaching?
It was just I had such a passion for the game. I just knew I wanted to continue doing something in basketball. And it was such in the early stages. Title IX had just really come out. Women were just now getting opportunities. So I saw an opportunity to get started.
What do you remember about your very first team that you coached with?
Well, I was really fortunate. I lucked out. I came into a team that had some great players. I think there were 4 Division I players on the team, so we did really well. We had a lot of success. We went undefeated my second year, and it was just such a fun moment. And then from there, went off to be an assistant coach at St. Joe's.
Did you feel prepared when you started coaching?
I think you feel more prepared than you are, and then as you get older and you grow and you get a lot of experience, you wonder how you did it because you knew nothing at the time. And I played for some great coaches at St. Joe's, but it was all about emotion, and we got to work hard, and there was not a lot of X and O's. I remember going over to Villanova, watch Rolly Massimino practice, and I got a lot of stuff from him. And he was the one that gave me my zone offense. He was just a great guy to talk to.
It's that Philly connection, right?
It is.
It's the Philly basketball connection. It's among the strongest in the game.
There's so many great players and great coaches come out of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Speaking of Philly, it was a nice football game this weekend.
Yeah, it was a great game. The stadium was awesome. The video board, tremendous. Everything went according to plan. I thought for the first game, really played well.
Yeah, no, it was great. So you start with not a lot of preparation, and you start to find some people who can help guide you, Raleigh and others. Who were the most influential mentors along the way?
Jim Foster was my mentor. He was the coach at St. Joe's when I was at Archbishop Carroll, so he gave me a lot of help and then hired me to be his assistant. I learned a lot from him. He was somebody that throughout my early years at Lehigh and even my early years here was always a phone call away, and I took advantage of that quite often.
The decision to go to Lehigh, how did that come about? Were you did you know that's what you wanted to do at that point?
I knew I wanted to be a head coach, and that was something right away. I just knew I didn't want to be an assistant coach. I wasn't really that good at it anyway. So I applied for pretty much every job that opened. I think I was turned down by every job in the Big Five. Penn, Villanova, I applied for all of them and didn't even know I wasn't ready. So when I got the job at Lehigh, I was so happy to get a job that, I didn't ask them any important questions. You know, how much are you paying me? I had no idea. I thought maybe I'd be paying them.
For the record, your negotiation strategy hasn't changed much over the years. Tell me about the Lehigh teams and the experience there.
Lehigh, another great situation. I came into some really good players that were just coming in as freshmen at that time. You know, their program was new. They were just getting started, but they had really done a great job of the collection of players they had. No scholarships, so, you know, kids were just coming for the education. It was back in the ECC, the East Coast Conference. Same thing, just really not as much X and O's and just a lot of working hard, doing a lot of running, making sure we're in tip-top shape. And we had a pretty good first year and then went on to win the conference championship. That was before there was automatic bids. So never got a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. And that was always something in March, watching it on TV, thinking someday I'm going to be on the sideline coaching in an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah. What would you describe as your strengths as an early coach? What'd you do well and what'd you have to learn?
I think discipline, for sure. I think I was somebody that was very, very demanding and always challenged the team to be at their best at every single moment. I wanted to try to pull their best out of them. Teamwork, being unselfish, playing for each other. But I think the strategy part was the part that I really, really had to learn.
What's recruiting like in that environment where you said you didn't have scholarships and it really focuses on people who want to come to that institution?
You know, you had to find kids that were able to get financial aid, because if you could afford to go there and you could get a scholarship somewhere else, you're probably going to go somewhere else. You know, we were an Ivy League education type of school. So really finding the right fit, that was the key. And we found a lot of kids that were really interested. I thought we had a pretty good class as I was leaving. So it got better as we went along. But it was definitely something that you had to really work at.
Yeah. How long were you there?
I was there 5 years.
Okay.
5 years. Loved it. Loved the people, everything. It was tremendous. We played in front of almost 100 people at times. I mean, the crowds were not big back then. And we played in this gym that was so dark the other team would come in and ask if we were going to turn the lights on. It was a great home court advantage.
I've always loved contests played in front of crowds you can introduce.
Yeah. You get them all during the national anthem.
That's
and
right.
You know you're.
Yeah, that's right. And then after 5 years, opportunity came knocking again, right?
Well, I'll tell you, that was the story. Matt wanted me to apply. The job opened up, and of course it was a dream job. So I was reluctant to get turned down. So I thought about it for quite a while, and he would encourage me at every opportunity, usually my backswing out on the golf course. So I finally sent it in. I didn't tell him, and then I got the call to come out and interview. And I said, hey, you want to take a ride with me? And he's like, where are we going now? Because I always took him to Jersey for recruiting from Lehigh. So he thought we were going to be on the Jersey Turnpike, and I said, actually, we're going to South Bend. So we were both. I don't know who was more excited, him or me.
What was that process like?
You know, it was really interesting. We didn't know a lot about it, so we're trying to study up really fast. Of course, you couldn't get anything online back then, so you really had to just know what to expect. We were quizzing each other on the school colors and what's the capital of Indiana. I'd never really been outside of Pittsburgh, so I hadn't traveled much. And we ran into David Rivers, I think, almost the first time. We're just walking around campus, stayed at the Morrison, and met some great people, and just was so impressed with the tradition. Father Malloy was just coming into his first year as president. So it was a great time. Gene Corrigan was so enthralled with me that he he resigned about a month after I got there. He made a great decision.
But he takes credit for you.
He does.
He takes all the credit for your success. Gene, I'm just kidding. So you come out here, and you're really building the program. Were you surprised at how much you had to build it?
Yeah, they had a losing record the year before, but they had a lot of talent. And I had never had a full-time staff, so I had to learn how to be a manager of my staff. That was something new, having people that were doing all the jobs that I was normally doing myself. So I kind of sat in my office one day and thought, gosh, what am I supposed to be doing now? Because they're doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. And it was great. They were great. Bill Fenley, one of my first assistants, he really helped me kind of find my way around. And just a really good team. We had great players. Turned it around. Karen Robinson, freshman. Sarah Leifscher. What a great class, along with Chrissy Davis. I always tell them they saved me. They saved my career because I was so fortunate to come in at the same time as them.
Oh, I think one of the great connections at this university is sort of the full circleness of your relationship with Karen, now Karen Keys, right? Mm-hmm. As the endowers of the coaching position.
Well, her husband Kevin was a practice player at times, way back before they really did much of the male practice players. So the two of them have been a big part of the support that we've had. I mean, they're great friends, and it was just a wonderful relationship with them.
Could you have imagined being here as long as you have been when you started?
I never imagined 30 years. I think we thought, we came out with a 5-year plan, which is a lot, probably 4 years longer than my normal plan. So we thought, if it doesn't work, we can always go home. The expectations are different. It's, there's going to be some pressure, and of course you put most of it on yourself. So it was interesting. And then all of a sudden we were here 10 years. And then, we went to our first Final Four in '97. And that was something that I really had dreamed about.
What were the key moments along the way? Who were the difference makers, or what were the program decisions that continued to move this thing along the course it's on?
I think after that first class, they had 4 great years, 20-win seasons, just phenomenal. Postseason play, not the NCAA tournament because they only took 32 teams. But after that, I think Beth Cunningham, Beth Morgan back then, and Katrina Gaither were so important to us. They got us to the next level. We joined the Big East Conference. That was huge for us. That was a time when we kind of had a little more credibility. I think our program had credibility. But those two took us to just some great places, got to the Final Four, and then from there getting Neil Ivey and Ruth Riley, just phenomenal. And they really shaped us, obviously winning a national championship with them.
How does the recruiting profile evolve over time? You've mentioned Beth, so that leads you into a different category of recruits when that happens?
Yeah, she was a sleeper. Nobody knew about her because she played a lot of tennis in the summer. So, when we finally got interested in her and saw what she could do, which was score a lot of points, she was really phenomenal and had a good relationship with her and her family. She was somebody that was incredibly humble, very unselfish. Went to her home visit and asked her where all the trophies were. And she said, they're probably in a box up in the attic somewhere, I don't know. And I knew that was the kind of player I wanted to coach. So she was probably the first difference maker that we got.
You mentioned that this was the first time you had to build a staff when you came here. What's your approach been to that over time?
I think the important thing in a staff for me is to find complementary people. I don't want people that are like me. I want people that have different strengths. I need somebody that can be a little more compassionate, I think a little more nurturing, a little warmer. I tend to be a little abrupt and like to get right to the point, as you probably didn't know that.
Really? No. I had no idea.
And then I have somebody that does the post players because as a point guard, I really didn't know that much about coaching the post initially. So I wanted somebody that could really tackle that position. I need somebody that can recruit, somebody that can relate to the players. So you have a young coach like Neil Ivey, who everybody loves, and she does such a great job, both with our guards and in recruiting. And then Beth is just such a great teacher. So everybody has different strengths. I think Beth is really organized, so she can keep us organized in the practice plans and the practice schedule. And Carol and Neil can take care of the team and give the group hugs when they need them.
It's not your job.
That's not.
You're not the group. You're not the group hug.
I like individual hugs.
This is probably an unfair question given the span of your career, but How has the game changed? How has it evolved?
It's really changed tremendously. I think the athleticism of women has really changed. There's so many more tall women. When we first started, my center was probably 6 feet tall when I was playing back in the late 70s. And now, then everybody maybe had one or two people, and now there's just so many people that are so versatile. They can step outside. The three-point line came in, which before was something that nobody really took that many shots. We can score a lot more points. The game's a lot faster. I think it's really played with a lot of precision and grace. I think it reminds me of the old NBA. When I watch old games with Larry Bird,
right.
I think that looks like a women's game. There's not a lot of dunking, but it's just really a lot of great movement.
That's how the game's evolved. How have you evolved?
I've had to reinvent myself a number of times. I think just keeping pace with the generations that come in. I think initially I was, very, very demanding. I was more of a Bobby Knight kind of coach. This is how we're going to do things. And then over time I've realized that really it's the relationship with the players that is really the rewarding part of the job. It's so much fun to get to know them off the court. And before you could do that a little bit more because there was no social media, there were no cell phones, they couldn't be connected really so much to their parents. So they really were on their own here. And that really helped the relationship. But to be able to get them off the court and find out a little bit more about them. So I'm a lot softer according to my players that come back to see me. I'm definitely a lot easier on them, and I really cherish that relationship a lot more than I did.
I must say, I don't think of you as someone who would get nervous, but are you nervous for the weekend?
Oh, I'm a wreck. I'm a wreck. I just want to get to the podium without tripping, and then get my speech out. It's on a teleprompter. I'm worried that the teleprompter is going to break, and so I'm going to probably have to carry my speech up there anyway, and just to get through with all the emotion, because I read it over and I cry. It's just. Matt and I have been through a lot, and he's done so much for me. To get up there and try to say what it is, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's been a family
really
journey.
Yeah.
From the playground to today. I know Matt has been such a constant in your support and your success here, and he's a great part of the program. He's
a huge part of it. I mean, everything he's given up in order to help me get where I am. He had to change jobs a couple of times. He gave up his job to move out here. He worked out of the house to take care of Murph, to be there for Murph at any time. He couldn't travel with us as much when Murph was younger. He did everything. I mean, he learned how to cook. But I'm still trying. I'm still learning. That's not my strength. But he does so much around the house that a lot of men wouldn't do.
So another 30 years?
I hope I'm alive in 30 years. That's my goal. My mom's 92. I have good genes.
Hey, you're all set. You're good. Well, we hope it's however long you want it to be. We are blessed and honored to have you here as a coach, and thrilled to be a small part of the ceremony that will happen this weekend. And welcome to the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I feel like I'm the lucky one, though, just being at Notre Dame. It's amazing. I have to pinch myself sometimes to know that I'm still here.
So that we don't have to bring you back to our next exotic location, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break and come back and talk to you about this year's team.
Okay.
We'll be back in a minute.
An Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
We are the University of Notre Dame.
This very special edition of the Jack Swarbrick Show with Hall of Fame coach Muffet McGraw. At Ara's, the memorial service for Ara and the funeral mass, which were both spectacular, they told the story of the students chanting, "Ara, stop the snow." I've noticed that the wind has died down since you got up here. I think this is the McGraw version of "Silence the Wind." It's gotten much better. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Want to shift gears and talk about this year's team a little bit. Significant announcement today. regarding what this year's team may look like with regard to Brianna.
Yeah, it'll be a little different team without her. And she has decided that, and I agree, that we don't want her to play for half a year. She probably would be ready to go in about January, but these injuries really take a year. When you watch them on film and the way her game is, she plays so much above the rim. I just think she needs to have time to really recover. So she's going to work at rehab and then come back next year.
We'll have some new faces with the team this year. Including a graduate transfer, which we haven't had a lot of experience with here.
Yeah, this will be our first. Actually, our first time for any transfer. So Lily Thompson from Stanford, she played well against us when we played them 2 years ago. So we really hope that she can take over the point guard position. But tough to lose a player like Lindsay Allen. She's having a great career in the WNBA. She's playing well for New York. But you lose somebody that you had for 4 years, it's really going to be different. So I'm really hoping Marina and Enrique can help out a little bit more.
It's when you got a point guard coach, the offense is going to run through a point guard.
No question about it. Most important position on the floor. I tell them I stand right behind them. I'm at half court the entire practice. I'm in their ear the whole practice. They've got to know when we're watching film, this is exactly what I expect of my point guards. And it's been tough because Lily's been injured. She hasn't been able to get out there and have a workout with us yet. So it's a lot to learn, but she's a really smart player. I think she picks things up really quickly, and she's going to really help us.
Yeah, it had to help when she made her decision because she got to spend some time watching us and sort of, I think, imagining herself being in that role. So I assume she's pretty familiar with what we do.
She does. She every time we run a play, she's like, I remember this from the scouting report. It worked every time. Well, not every time.
And a big summer for your team with some more international competition, right?
Yeah, it was exciting. We had Enrique playing for her 4th gold medal. She's just been phenomenal with USA Basketball. She's got a silver medal, 4 golds. I think she leads everybody in USA Basketball for the number of medals won. But this was a U23 team that just went over to play 3 or 4 teams. It wasn't really a big tournament, so a little bit different, but great for the future. Marina would have played, probably would have made the team. Jessica Shepard probably would have made the team. Both injured and weren't able to participate.
Tell us a little bit about Jessica.
Jessica Shepard was Rookie of the Year in the Big Ten 2 years ago, played at Nebraska, played it last year. The team struggled a bit, and she is somebody that really wants to be great. She wants to win a national championship. She's a great teammate. She's got a tremendous attitude. She's very encouraging, very positive. I love being around her. She's somebody that has the experience, the talent. She is really gifted. She can face up and shoot threes. She can pass, which is phenomenal for our offense. The Princeton offense really revolves around that person being a good passer. So she reminded me a little bit of Natalie Achamwa, but with a little bit better face-up game.
You mentioned Lindsay before, and of course Skylar before Lindsay. You've had unbelievable consistency and over time with your teams. A little different coming into this year. I mean, you've got carryover, but it'll be a different squad.
Really different. I mean, 8 years of a point guard.
Yeah.
You know, 4 years of Skylar, phenomenal. 4 years with Lindsay. I mean, it just made my job so much easier. So now it'll be fun because there'll be a lot of teaching and a lot of reworking the offense without Brianna, with a new point guard. We'll be looking at doing some different things, and I think that'll be a little more fun.
What do you expect this team's personality to be?
You know, they're a quiet group. It's really interesting. I think that it's a very quiet team. I think it's a business-like attitude, a little similar to in 2001. We had great personalities with Neil and Kelly Seaman, but it was a business-like approach every game. So you have Enrique to bring out some passion and some excitement, but Marina's she's going to have that steady face.
Yeah, she's got that assassin's
She does.
Mode when she's out there. Another big contributor this year will undoubtedly be Jackie Young.
Yeah, she's ready to make a move. I think this is going to be her year. This will be a breakout year for her. She's so talented. She's playing really well. Probably our most improved player coming off the summer. And just shooting threes more, driving the ball more. Just, I think, really more aggressive looking for her shot. And I'm so excited about her.
She really mixes it up underneath, too. I was impressed at how effective a rebounder she was.
She's a tremendous rebounder. She got great hands. She has great leaping ability, and she can time it. She really is not afraid to be physical. I can see her scoring on the block around the basket, but face up, she's really playing well.
Your schedule never gives you much time to to develop, to bring the team together. Is it a bigger challenge this year where you have so many new pieces?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. You know, we'll probably be peaking in February and hopefully in March when you want to be. But early on, it's going to be difficult. We got a lot of challenges early on. We're in a tournament in Gulf Coast that could put us against South Carolina, who will, of course, be another great team this year. It's going to be tough. We got to go to Connecticut. They're usually pretty good.
Are they?
Yeah, most years. And so that'll be a good game for us. Then we have Tennessee on a big Thursday this year. ESPN going for the big Thursday for women's basketball. So we're excited to be having a few games on ESPN.
There's been a lot of focus on the women's game and what people perceive as a lack of parity, because there are a few teams that regularly contend, but it's hard for teams to break into that, it seems. What's the state of the game in that regard?
You know, I thought last year was a great opportunity for somebody new, and it was great to see Mississippi State come out and surprise everyone.
Right.
I don't think anybody expected that. So it was good for the game. I think you're seeing different people. You're getting to know different teams. I think this year will be good. I think there's a lot of really good teams. Tennessee should be a team that can contend. And, South Carolina, of course, the ACC is always tough. There's so many good teams in the ACC, so we're going to really have a lot of battles this year.
Yeah, you've had such remarkable success in the ACC since we joined the conference, obviously. Who are going to be the toughest challenges in the conference this year?
Yeah, I think Duke is going to be good. Louisville's always good. Florida State, you know, everybody's got some good players back, and so it'll be interesting to see. Syracuse lost a bit, although they had a really good team last year. There's always somebody new that just kind of emerges, so you have to look out for a lot of teams, but I think they should be the top 4 teams.
You mentioned Earl in the first segment, assistant coaches and their impact on the team. You've been able to have some continuity in the assistant staff, which is harder and harder to do these days. That's got to be a plus.
I think it makes a big difference. You look at the really top teams, and they have the same staff for years. Carol Owen's been with me about 18 years now. She's been here for every one of our Final Fours. Nielle's been with me since as a player, so you know she's going on about 15 years. Beth Cunningham played here and now is back. I think we've always had people that have been around for at least 5 or 6 years before they move on to head coaching jobs, which I think is my job, to get them ready and to prepare them. But I do enjoy that continuity. I think it's been great for the players.
Not this year, but not long after, we'll move into a new basketball practice facility. How will that benefit the program?
Well, I think the players are going to love it. That's the biggest thing. It's so easy for them to walk into the practice facility at any time, day or night, and that's what they're really looking forward to. They don't have to worry about if there's a volleyball game or if the guys are on the court or if there's something else going on in the arena. So it's a way for them to get better, and they want to get better. They want to improve. They want to see what we can do to develop them, and in order to do that, you've got to have a great facility. Everybody in the country has a better facility than we do right now, so this is going to be one of the best in the country. I know Notre Dame is going to do a class job as they do with everything else, so we can't wait to get in there next year.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going on it. Speaking of practice, what's the routine like? What happens now at this time of the year, and what's your schedule like?
Well, this time of the year we only get 2 hours a week with them, so we try to do some individual work and some teamwork. We've got a lot of injuries right now, so I think today was probably the most players. We had 8 today, so we're excited about that. Can't wait to get the whole group back so we can play some 5-on-5. And fortunately, we have the guy practice players, which really helps us. So we only go 2 hours a week, work on a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense, but we'll get started early October, and then we'll be going at it.
Well, best of luck this year. It's a big year. It starts in Springfield in a sense and continues on through the season, and we'll be with you all the way along that journey, and look forward to another great season.
Me too. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being with us, Coach.
You bet.
We will be back shortly.
We represent the greatest university in the world. Let's carry that pride tonight onto this field, and let's play for Notre Dame, and let's play for Our Lady. That's how we're playing today. I don't know what next week holds or the week after, 3 weeks down the road, but tonight, that's how we're playing this football game.
And caught beautifully. What a play. Touchdown, Notre Dame. The Irish find a way.
Welcome back to the Jack Swarbrick Show. Time to wrap up this week's show. This weekend, very historic with Muffet McGraw going into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Last weekend, very historic as the first video board in Notre Dame Stadium, really the fruition of the Crossroads project, the football aspects being unveiled to the public for the first time. You are a driving, if not the driving force behind this whole thing. How nervous were you coming into the weekend?
I wouldn't describe it as nervous. It's like the end of a marathon. You know, there's an exhilaration to it. It's from the time you first started thinking about it until you're bringing everyone in to see it is a long journey with all kinds of ups and downs. And there was just an exhilaration in knowing it. All of that was completed, and we were ready to welcome our fans in. And so I was excited all day.
I know you had some concerns after the weekend. What happened with those concerns? Did everything go smoothly?
Well, it's never going to go 100% smoothly, but in my experience, opening venues or staging large events, you know, you're shooting for a certain percentage, and I think we were on the high end of that range. The complexity of this project with 3 detached buildings that abutting the structure just adds a unique factor in terms of communication and getting people where they need to be. That was always going to be a challenge, and I thought we did really well. I mean, there's more to do and get better and train people more effectively, but this is the first Notre Dame game since I've been director of athletics I haven't watched. I spent most of the game walking the concourse, walking the various spaces, engaging with people and making observations, and the net result was extremely positive.
History and tradition, so very important here. You embrace it, you protect it. In fact, the concourse now, you have brought back the historic outer facade of the original wall of Notre Dame Stadium throughout the facade. For those constituencies that maybe had the most trepidation, what kind of response did you get from them after Saturday?
And it was interesting. We give our fans an opportunity we invite them to come online and give us the sense of their experience. And the number one feature cited was the concourse, 92% favorable rating on the concourses. And that meant a lot because as important as the expansion was 20 years ago, to get done, it compromised history a bit. I mean, it poured concrete, and it wasn't able to capture the history of the facility. This re-engaged it. It brought it back to brick those columns, to bring in the period lighting, to have the historic images on the banners and hand-painted on the walls. It really reconnected with the stadium that Rockne built, and that may be the aspect of this I'm most proud of.
Maybe the most controversial aspect is right over your right shoulder. It's now dark, but it's the video board. Many concerned how that would impact the atmosphere here, concerned about commercialization. How was that received?
Very favorable. Of course, we didn't do any commercial elements to it. And people appreciated that. We told the Notre Dame story. You know, everybody's a producer now, and in the YouTube world, everybody believes they could do it. So some people would say to me, "I thought you had too many Notre Dame spots." Somebody else would say to me, "You didn't have enough Notre Dame spots," or could you give me a different replay angle? Those are personal preferences. The overwhelming response to what it did for the experience at the game was positive. People always felt like NBC ran more commercial spots than other broadcasters. In fact, they don't during the games. But because we didn't have what most stadia have during those 3-minute breaks,
it
felt
longer.
Long.
Yeah.
The one thing I consistently heard at the end of the game was, boy, it seemed to go so much faster. Now, we had 2 offenses that ran at a pretty decent clip, and that helped. But it was that notion that there was always something to engage you.
And I can vouch for that. Before he passed, my dad would come out for a game every year, and I would try to sit with him in the stands for a half, normally in the press box. We've got a press box announcer and a monitor, and I couldn't believe how long those breaks seemed to be. And I know the folks that I know just thought it was terrific, and they loved the replay. You're competing with that guy's den, that home living room with the 50-inch television screen and replays. And to me, that part of it is huge to get those replays on this magnificent board right here in your seat.
Yeah, and I thought we made really good decisions on when to show a replay, what replay to show. There were some times where an official got something wrong. We didn't belabor it. We helped the crowd understand what had happened. So I loved the selectivity we used in the replays. We'll get better every week. It's like producing anything else. But it was a clear benefit to our fans to have access to that. It helped them enjoy the game more. You also took advantage of a new space with the post-game show. What was that experience like?
It was terrific. And I stayed in the South Club the entire game, and I was a little surprised that there were 30 or 40 people that never left. They had tickets, but they stayed in there. There are monitors everywhere. We now do that post-game show about 10 minutes after the game when we finish the in-stadium production. We go in there. Ryan Harris joins me. We have Coach Kelly's press conference live or close to it, on-field interviews. It was fun and easy to do, and that show has gotten great response. I know it's fed to the premium seating areas live here, but it's also streamed live on WatchND, NBC Sports, Facebook, and lots of folks watch the show.
Yeah, I thought it was a great setting. I went in and saw you while you were doing it, and I've heard great things about your running mate there, that Ryan did a really good job.
He did a terrific thing, and just as you knew, there were some things that wouldn't be perfect on the first day. There were some production aspects that weren't perfect just because you don't know until you do it once, and Ryan, really a trooper. But as I kidded with him, if you look through sports media right now, and in particular football media, if anybody kept stats on it, I would venture to say that there are more former Notre Dame players in football broadcast media than maybe any other school.
Well, there's certainly a lot of them, and we're awfully proud of those guys, but it speaks to the skill set I hope they leave here with. And Ryan's a great example of that what he did in his community when he played, and the ease with which he moves into this has really been a great representation of this university.
We have about 30 seconds left, so I'll ask you the same question I always ask a coach between game one and game two. What do you want to improve on for the Georgia game from the experience for the fans?
Well, the first one isn't for the experienced fans. I want our quarterback to get hit a little less. That's for the
fans will enjoy that too.
That's for the psyche of the athletic director. But I just want the communication to be a little smoother, getting them where they need to be, making sure they have the experience they want. Concession lines moving a little faster, and we'll be in good shape.
All right, Jack, always a pleasure. It was a great first weekend. Congratulations. You worked very hard on that.
Thanks.
All right. We'll be back next week. Thanks.